day, I would wake up and go outside and look up, see my father and his squadron taking off and their F-4s roaring across the sky, and it was the most thrilling thing still I've experienced in my entire life. So when he lost his life in service to this country, it ignited a desire in me to turn all of that tragedy and thrill into one day making the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time. But try as I might and look as I did, I couldn't find the right story ever. I kept looking and looking, but I just couldn't find the right one until now. Now I found a movie about two things I love. So I'm going to see you very soon.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're doing well, and in this video we have something exciting, big Star Wars movie news that there for Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie. We're gonna go ahead, of course, hop right on into it, break it all down for you guys from everything that we're hearing and everything that we're anticipating right now. Before we do though, however, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. So if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and grab that subscribe button today. Okay, so in this video, this report is coming from The Hollywood Reporter themselves. Patty Jenkins says that she's back on Star Wars' movie, Rogue Squadron. Of course, I'll have that article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there, as well as an overall garnering resource for this today's report here. We also have our merch shop up, live and running, linked in the description down below. So a few promo codes on there if you guys get some cash off, go check it out. Okay, so for those of you that may be a little bit lost of exactly what is going on with the Rogue Squadron movie, everything that we've last heard about this movie is essentially a couple months back it was being reported around and saying that this movie was no longer, like, it was simply canceled and it was no longer on Star Wars's or Lucasfilm's or Disney's intention to be released, to be continued forward anymore, and it seemed that Patty Jenkins had since then entirely completely stepped away from the project, going on to work on all of the other projects that she does have lined up, because she is very much so quite busy. The Wonder Woman director says that she'll be back in active development though, however, on the Star Wars project, and furthermore is even working on a first draft for Lucasfilm. She says that when I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3 and I started working on that, we had talked about, well, maybe I'll come back to Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3, she told the Talking Pictures podcast. We also had started a deal for that to happen. So when Wonder Woman 3 went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, we've got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning, so now I owe a draft to Star Wars or Lucasfilm. So we will see what happens there. Who knows? They have a hard job in front of them of what's the first movie since the sequel trilogy that they're going to do. They do have other directors who have been working, but I am now back on doing Rogue Squadron, so we'll see what happens. We need to get it to where we're both super happy with it. Ending that quote right there. I mean, right there in itself is a lot to talk about. Right there is a lot to unpackage here with this overall report. Tons of new details being revealed of everything that kind of went on internally within Lucasfilm, Disney, and between Patty Jenkins, her going off to work on Wonder Woman 3, as I think we already all know, the disappointments that make up what is known as the DC movies. I don't really like to include Man of Steel or the Wonder Woman movies. I do like the Wonder Woman movies, but since James Gunn taking over the DC movies, he isn't moving forward with a Wonder Woman 3 movie with Patty Jenkins, so she's kind of like off the hook with that movie and able to kind of move forward now and go work with Star Wars and continue on with her Rogue Squadron movie. Also, from what it seems that she's revealed in this new kind of podcast as she was speaking on, is that there was some type of internal deal going on between Lucasfilm and Patty Jenkins, the director, to have her go work and do her Wonder Woman 3 movie and then move forward with her Rogue Squadron movie. Like, there were still plans to do this movie either which way that she was going to go. And that, as everybody was kind of reporting on and thinking as, is that it seemed like this Rogue Squadron movie just wasn't going to be happening anymore whatsoever. Like, it was completely off the table. I think it's one thing for her to say that, like, I'm still doing this movie, but a whole nother thing at the same time for her to be just talking about how she's actually working on the first couple of drafts and scripts, as she is also penning the script for this movie as well. That there in itself is also some really great news to hear. Lastly, probably the biggest takeaway that she also mentions in this podcast, or at least in this little bit of a snippet of a quote, is this idea of, like, okay, what's going to be the next Star Wars project to be released since the sequel trilogy, The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. It seems very clear and cut that there is actually going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, with Jon Favreau as the writer and the director for that movie. It was just confirmed and announced in January, and that instead that movie is going to be coming out in May of 2026. Now, initially from what we had heard is that Rogue Squadron was already actually supposed to have come out in December of 2023. That date had came and it went with no release or anything talked about with the Rogue Squadron movie, unfortunately. So to hear about this now is honestly super exciting. The emotion of Star Wars and what it stands for is something so beautiful in this world, she had adds. Star Wars was born out of the events of World War II, and so, in that way, I've always wanted to make a fighter pilot movie, so yes, I would love to do it. Lucasfilm has developed multiple projects for the big screen, of course, but has had trouble getting one over the finish line following the 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. This next film to hit theaters will be the Grogu and Mandalorian, or Mandalorian and Grogu movie, much rather, which is going to arrive on May 22nd of 2026, with Jon Favreau as the writer and director of that movie. Patty Jenkins had been announced as the director of the Rogue Squadron movie in December of 2020. The film had carried the official description of that the story will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing, high-speed thrill ride and move the saga into the future era of a galaxy far, far away. The project since then, unfortunately, had Jenkins added in a subsequent interview, had been in development at Lucasfilm for a long while since its initial announcement, and from there, the rest seems to be kind of, well, history, from it going under, of now seeming to have been cancelled, and to where we are now, with it still having a bit of a pulse, and that this movie is very well still moving forward. Then in November of 2021, The Hollywood Reporter had reported that the film was delayed due to Patty Jenkins' commitment to her other projects, and it was officially taken off of Lucasfilm's production schedule entirely. In late 2022, as Patty Jenkins had exited Wonder Woman 3 at Warner Bros., having James Gunn take over those DC movies, Patty Jenkins had revealed that she had made a new deal with Lucasfilm to continue working on the script, suggesting without Wonder Woman on her docket, Rogue Squadron might be more foreseeable than initially thought. 5 months later, in April of 2023, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy had confirmed that Rogue Squadron will continue to be discussed, but might be reimagined as a TV show instead for Disney+. And then finally, in November of 2023, however, Disney CEO Bob Iger said that Marvel had diluted its audience by doing too many TV shows, and that a charge that some have also said about the company's Star Wars efforts, so that seemed kind of out of the question as well. Patty Jenkins had previously opened the door up about the concept and her personal attachment to this premise and to what this project was about. In the initial official announcement, when my father lost his life in service to the United States Army, it had ignited a desire in me to turn all of that tragedy and thrill into one day making the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time. But try as I might and look as I did, I couldn't find the right story ever, and I kept looking and looking, but I just couldn't find the right one. And now, I seem to have found a story about two things that I love. And so, from there, that is where the initial Hollywood Reporter report entirely ends. As I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. Guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force with you as always. Peace out.